You'll hear a man called Jeremy Baker talking about different ways of travelling in northern Finland. For questions 9 to 18, complete the sentences. You now have 45 seconds to look at part 2.
Jeremy, I know you've just come back from Finland, and you had some interesting experiences with transport while you were there, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I spent a week 250 kilometres north of the Arctic Circle, where there were only a few hours of sunlight every day, and the temperature was minus 30 degrees Celsius. But it was a marvellous trip. What made it really exciting for me was the dogs. I went on a ride across the snow on a sled pulled by 4 dogs, or huskies as they're called. They're amazing animals, and I love getting them to obey my commands. You can shout left or right to them, and they'll obey immediately. But what I found myself shouting more than anything was the word stop, just to make sure they knew who was in control. And what was extraordinary about my huskies was that they obey these commands in more than one language. Obviously they understand Finnish, but my guide told me they'll respond to German too. If I'd been there longer, I'd have taught them some French, just for the fun of it. Anyway, my guide and I set off on 2 dog sleds into the frozen Finnish countryside. To begin with, I was too preoccupied with controlling the dogs to admire the wonderful scenery. Those huskies certainly love to run. Their tongues hang out, their noses strain forward, and their tails stream behind them. I didn't take my eyes off the lead dog. It had white ears, and if I looked at them, it helped me concentrate on where we were going. My lead dog was an exceptionally intelligent animal, though they always have to be smart. Apparently, they are also usually female. There are male dogs in the team too, but they don't take the lead position. As I said, my sled had 4 dogs, but you need 8 or 10 to pull a sled going with a full load of 200 kilos. Each individual dog is capable of hauling 30 kilos, and they seemed to do it almost effortlessly. At first, we were dashing along in the open countryside, but after about an hour we turned into the forest. We disturbed a few birds and snow would come falling down out of the trees. But branches were the things I really had to look out for. I certainly didn't want to get one in my face. Eventually, we got to a cabin where we were going to have lunch. My guide started a fire and set about preparing a meal of reindeer meat, washed down with juice made from berries that grow in the forest. He sent me off with a bucket to fetch some water. This involved making a hole in the ice on a nearby lake. I must say I was quite nervous that the ice was going to break underneath my weight. That dog sled ride was the best part of my trip. But there are other exciting ways to get around on the ice and snow. Another way I tried was riding a skidoo. It's a great favourite with those of us who love racing about without much purpose. And some people compare a skidoo to a motorbike, but to my mind it feels much more like travelling on a speedboat. It's certainly faster than being pulled by dogs. But for me, its big disadvantage is that it's very noisy. The sound of the engine destroys the peace of the countryside. But thanks to my skidoo, I was able to travel deep into the wilderness to spend the night in a cabin by a frozen lake. I'll never forget the incredibly beautiful night sky I saw there. The advantage of skidoo riding is that you never have icy hands, however low the temperature falls. This is thanks to the vehicle's heated handlebars. I wish there was something similar for your feet.
It sounds like an interesting trip. Would you go back to Finland?
Oh, definitely.
Now you'll hear part 2 again.
Jeremy, I know you've just come back from Finland, and you had some interesting experiences with transport while you were there, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I spent a week 250 kilometres north of the Arctic Circle, where there were only a few hours of sunlight every day, and the temperature was minus 30 degrees Celsius. But it was a marvellous trip. What made it really exciting for me was the dogs. I went on a ride across the snow on a sled pulled by 4 dogs, or huskies as they're called. They're amazing animals, and I love getting them to obey my commands. You can shout left or right to them, and they'll obey immediately. But what I found myself shouting more than anything was the word stop, just to make sure they knew who was in control. And what was extraordinary about my huskies was that they obey these commands in more than one language. Obviously they understand Finnish, but my guide told me they'll respond to German too. If I'd been there longer, I'd have taught them some French, just for the fun of it. Anyway, my guide and I set off on 2 dog sleds into the frozen Finnish countryside. To begin with, I was too preoccupied with controlling the dogs to admire the wonderful scenery. Those huskies certainly love to run. Their tongues hang out, their noses strain forward, and their tails stream behind them. I didn't take my eyes off the lead dog. It had white ears, and if I looked at them, it helped me concentrate on where we were going. My lead dog was an exceptionally intelligent animal, though they always have to be smart. Apparently, they are also usually female. There are male dogs in the team too, but they don't take the lead position. As I said, my sled had 4 dogs, but you need 8 or 10 to pull a sled going with a full load of 200 kilos. Each individual dog is capable of hauling 30 kilos, and they seem to do it almost effortlessly. At first, we were dashing along in the open countryside, but after about an hour we turned into the forest. We disturbed a few birds and snow would come falling down out of the trees. But branches were the things I really had to look out for. I certainly didn't want to get one in my face. Eventually we got to a cabin where we were going to have lunch. My guide started a fire and set about preparing a meal of reindeer meat, washed down with juice made from berries that grow in the forest. He sent me off with a bucket to fetch some water. This involved making a hole in the ice on a nearby lake. I must say I was quite nervous that the ice was going to break underneath my weight. That dog sled ride was the best part of my trip. But there are other exciting ways to get around on the ice and snow. Another way I tried was riding a skidoo. It's a great favourite with those of us who love racing about without much purpose. And some people compare a skidoo to a motorbike, but to my mind it feels much more like travelling on a speedboat. It's certainly faster than being pulled by dogs. But for me, its big disadvantage is that it's very noisy. The sound of the engine destroys the peace of the countryside. But thanks to my skidoo, I was able to travel deep into the wilderness to spend the night in a cabin by a frozen lake. I'll never forget the incredibly beautiful night sky I saw there. The advantage of skidoo riding is that you never have icy hands, however low the temperature falls. This is thanks to the vehicle's heated handlebars. I wish there was something similar for your feet.
It sounds like an interesting trip. Would you go back to Finland?
Oh, definitely.
That's the end of part 2.